What's up guys, James here from Matt Says Films. Today we're looking at another cool camera from the past, the Lumix G80. Is it any good in 2023 or is it a big pile of Another video from me talking about a camera. Yes, I'm obsessed. So this video is all about the Lumix G80 and some reasons why I think it's a really cool camera. So back in 2016, Lumix released the Lumix G80, the successor of the Lumix G7, a camera I did have and really loved that camera actually. But the Lumix G80 is a really significant upgrade from the Lumix G7. So in the UK, they call it the Lumix G80, and in Australia, it's also called the Lumix G80. Germany, the G81, and in the US and Canada, the G85. It's not just the names that have changed in these regions, it's also the ability to shoot unlimited recording. In the UK, you can't shoot past the 30-minute mark, and that's to do with tax reasons and some other which I don't know too much about, but there we go. So you do have a 30-minute recording if you've bought yours in the UK. I've mentioned this before with other cameras that have this feature and the importance and the convenience of it, and that is IBIS. You have IBIS in this little bad boy. This has the ability to pair with optically stabilized lenses to get dual image stabilization, which is ultra smooth. Works amazingly well in the Panasonic cameras, the IBIS. So IBIS plus a optically stabilized lens, you can pretty much leave the gimbal at home and still get some really nice shots. IBIS with dual axis stabilization makes this a very good camera to get in 2023. Another good reason to pick this up is it has 4K. Now 4K is the standard nowadays, and you probably get away with HD too, mind, but 4K is definitely a standard resolution to be shooting in, and this does shoot lovely 4K. It's not beefy or like GH5 kind of 4K, but 100 megabits per second, respectable. It is a really nice 4K to use as long as you don't push it too much. Now, you do have Cine-like D with the G80. You don't get V-Log L like you do on the G9 and the GH5, but Cine-like D, although it's not a log profile, there is a bit of room to kind of grade the image. So as long as you're careful and as long as you're not reckless with your exposure, you can get some really lovely video quality from the Lumix G80. So 4K, 100 megabits per second, another good reason to pick up the Lumix G80 in 2023. Weather sealing. This is weather sealed. Ergonomically, it's really nice to hold, and you got a really good button layout as well, so you can get to everything with ease. Yeah, pleasure to hold, pleasure to use, and weather sealing, which is also a big plus for the Lumix G80. Now, this may not seem like a huge feature, but I really appreciate it, and that is a side access SD card slot. Now, for those of you who understand where I'm coming from, you'll know how much of a pain in the ass it is to access the SD card from the battery compartment down the bottom. Now, if this is on a camera, if this is on a tripod, it's a pain to get the SD card out if you need to swap that out. So to have side camera access makes things a lot more convenient in terms of inputting and getting out the SD card. Also, the SD card for this is the UHS 2, so it's a faster SD card, which is really beneficial for shooting 4K footage, but also in stills you can get really, or the buffer speed is a lot faster, so very beneficial for photography with the Lumix G80. Also, the camera shoots 1080 60 frames per second, so you've got some slow motion ability with the Lumix G80. It's not the best HD footage out there, but if you're in a pinch or you're on your travels and you fancy some slow motion, you can get that with the Lumix G80. So 1080p 60 frames per second in the Lumix G80 is another cool feature and another reason why you might want to consider picking one up. So I've used this for stills and photography, and it definitely is a content creator's camera, as it shoots, as I just mentioned, lovely 4K, but also really nice stills with its 16 megapixel sensor. So the 60 megapixel sensor there's no low pass filter on there too, so it's really nice and sharp, the images that is, and I've always liked the images coming out of the Lumix G80. It does produce really nice stills. So a 60 megapixel sensor, lovely stills, another good reason to pick up the Lumix G80 in 2023. So photography wise, this also has 4K photo mode, and this can shoot 6 frames per second in continuous autofocus. So as a photography machine, this can produce and perform quite well. Now the Lumix G80 does get a bit of slack in terms of its autofocus abilities, and I would have to agree that if you're shooting something like this, like a talking head in continuous autofocus, you're not going to get the best results with the Lumix G80. The G9 does a far better job. Main focus, but still not Lumix S5 II standards, but definitely does a much better job than the Lumix G80. You can get around that issue with their Lumix Sync app, which I've used many times, and it's a really good app. You can put on your tablet devices or your phone devices, and you can actually do live shoot mode. So you can monitor yourself, and you can tap to focus on the screen, and then there's no need to rely on the autofocus. So the Lumix Sync app is a really good app to have if you're thinking about the Lumix G80 and you're concerned about shooting any talking head videos and the autofocus performance. So with all those things said, all those pluses and a couple of little negatives there about the Lumix G80, who do I think the Lumix G80 is for? Well, I personally picked up the Lumix G80 because I wanted a camera I can just take off the shelf and shoot some cool 4K footage with, some YouTube stuff with. Also as a backup 4K camera, you know, do a lot of video work, so it's always nice to have a backup camera which you can rely on, get some good 4K footage from. It's also a very good travel camera with its size and the size of the Mark IV thirds lenses you pair with the camera, with its weather sealing and its IBIS and its ability to shoot very good stills and video. I think it's a really good option for travel photography and videography. All-rounder, good content creating camera. Also, if you were considering making a film or getting into video work, you're just starting out, this is a very affordable option. It can serve you really well in regards to video production work and narrative filmmaking. It's a very competent camera, and so if you're a budding videographer or a budding filmmaker and your budget is quite tight, definitely consider picking up the Lumix G80. So guys, hope you found that helpful. Let me know if you have the Lumix G80. Let me know if you live in America and you don't have the recording on the Lumix G80 and how awesome that is. But yeah, let us know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on the Lumix G80. And yeah, don't forget to like the video. It does help the channel a lot when you like the video. And also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. We upload every week tech videos, film reviews, vlogging, everything to do with filmmaking and independent filmmaking. You can find it right here at Mad Science Films. That's it from me. Until next time, goodbye.